Hello, everybody. It's the old bear from the Old Bear's Den of Bigfoot, and we are going to be giving you a series of 5 videos. 5 members of a family seen 5 different Bigfoot here in the state of West Virginia. And this is the first installment. The first installment happens to be the dad. Now, this gentleman owned his own business, worked for another company, and he made a lot of money. He could retire early. He retired at 50, and I applaud him for that. I wished I could. So does my wife. We wish we could retire and just travel around and chase Bigfoot through the woods in our little home away from home, as she calls it. And but anyway, let's get back to the account. Now, this gentleman last May was, after he retired, he decided he was going to do a lot of bow hunting here in the state of West Virginia. He goes after 140 to 180 and bigger class whitetails. And he decided that he was going to hunt a certain area right near Golly Bridge. It's on the opposite side of the river from US 60 that runs up through there. And he decided that he was going to go up to a piece of property that's old reclaimed mine. And it's been reclaimed for years, and we've bear hunted in there a few times, and there's quite a few bear in there, and there's some really nice whitetail bucks in there also. We've seen them when we've been up there in training seasons and stuff like that. And he decided he was going to go up and find out what kind of whitetails were in there in the spring. I'm sorry. I'm yawning for some reason. Ain't even sleepy. Jeez. Anyway, he goes in there and he finds a spot. And he's got nice side by side. And he carries in a couple 100 pounds of apples to attract the deer and feed the deer. And long before season, so he was going to stop doing that before season if he could find the right buck to go after. And he put up 4 game cams. Now, 2 of them, he found a set of trails that intersected, and there was like a fairly open area where they intersected, where they crossed. Now, he figured that these bucks probably wouldn't come through there in the daytime. They would come through there at night, mainly. And he carried in the game cams and a 50-pound, or 100-pound sack of apples with him. And he put up 2 of the game cams and pointed them down each respective trail where he thought the bucks would be laying during the day and that time of the year. He found large tracts of whitetails, bucks and does in that area. He found a lot of sign, a lot of old rubs, historic rubs, and if you're a hunter, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not, I'll explain it. And a historic rub is something where bucks tend to rub their antlers every year on the same tree. Now, he was finding trees that were 6 or 8 inches thick being rubbed all the way around the tree, so that kind of denotes a large whitetail. And he went back to his side-by-side after dumping the apples and got the other bag of apples. Took it back in there with his other two cameras and put those cameras up, focusing on the pile of apples. He goes back a week later. He takes the video cards out of the game cams, and there's no apples. Or just maybe some cores where they haven't finished eating them up or whatever. And he's found a lot of deer sign in there. So this goes on. He does this for about 4 weeks. And we're into May. And near the end of May, he goes in there and he carries in a 100-pound bag of apples, the first one, and he dumps it. Pulls the the cards out of the game cameras. After pulling the cards out of the game cameras, he goes back to his side-by-side and get the other 100-pound of apples. Now, these are apples. He's paying out of his pocket for this. And he's not doing anything illegal. I mean, it's perfectly legal to feed deer before season. You're not allowed to hunt over bait in the state of West Virginia. And it's fairly remote. He's never found another set of tracks going into that area. Boot tracks or tire tracks from side-by-sides or four-wheelers or anything. Or at least into that certain section that he was looking at. Now, he's seen on his game cams, some pretty nice bucks. Well, on his way back in with the the last 100-pound of apples, he hears crunching coming from where he just dumped the apples. He's probably no more than 100 feet from him when he hears the crunching, about 30, 40 yards, and he goes around a little curve and stops dead in his tracks. And the reason he stops dead in his tracks, there's this big black thing knelt down over the apples, taking apples and shoving one in its mouth and my wife's laughing at me for the sound effects.
No, that was really good sound effects.
And then it throws the other one in and it picks up two more and it's chomping on the apples, and all of a sudden it throws one in its mouth and stops. It stands up on 2 feet, hair covered. He said it was close to 9 feet because he's 6'4", and this thing definitely had him by 2.5 feet. So it's almost 9 foot at that range. And he drops the 100-pound sack of apples, and starts backing up on the trail that he came in on. He backs out of there. This creature just stood there and looked at him after it turned around and looked at him and never moved. He didn't hear it leave. He just kept backing down the trail till he got about 50 or 60 yards away and then took off running. And when he took off running towards his side-by-side, he heard something following him to his right side, towards the river, to where his side-by-side was parked. He made it to his side-by-side, jumped on, fired it up, and took off like a bat out of you-know-where. And he gets back to his truck, loads the side-by-side, ties it down kind of terribly, gets home, and goes in and tells his wife what he saw. And she's like, "You're making it up. There ain't no such thing as whatever you're describing." And the mother-in-law gets involved in it. Now, he's got his wife, mother-in-law, and 2 children, a son and a daughter, at home. The son and daughter, the son is 17, the daughter is 14, getting ready to be 15 like my grandbaby. Anyway, he tells the mother, his wife, and she's giving him down the road because he's scared and doesn't know what he's doing, and she's giving him a hard time. And the mother-in-law comes in and says, "Oh, I don't believe in that stuff. You're just making it up. You're just, you, you know, some mother-in-laws can be royal pains in the neck." And I believe this one was trying to be a royal pain in the neck because the daughter was being a royal pain in the neck. Anyways, he let it go for a couple of weeks, then decided he was going to go back and get all the stuff. Well, he asked his wife to go. Well, she didn't go with him. The mother-in-law went. And this is June. And he went in there to get his cameras and everything and pick up any trash and all that. So he decided that no problem, I'm going to go get it. He took a gun with him and they walked in there. It wasn't really that far, maybe 150 yards into where he had the game camera set up. He went in there and the game cameras were all turned around. One of them was ripped off the tree. Another one was twisted and thrown up. One was thrown up into a tree. He had to climb in the tree and get it and got his game cams. And the only pictures he got was of a hairy arm and something black with its back to it. So he really didn't get any good pictures on the game cams. You couldn't tell what it was by just those 3 or 4 pictures that he got on one of the game cams. And he got the game cams and they left. Picked up whatever trash was there, a couple of sacks and the game cameras, and he looked at the pictures when he got home and there were some really nice bucks on there. So, proceeded into the month of June. This is when the mother-in-law decides to go with him the next time he picks a place. And we'll get into that in the next video. So we're going to leave it off there. I know it's a cliffhanger, but we'll start the next video off here. I hope you enjoy it. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. And if you got a comment, leave it in the comments. Appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye now.
Bye.